Hello and welcome to Multifamily Elevated. My name's Suzanne Hopson, and I am super excited to talk to you about vision, people, and execution, and how you can utilize this information to elevate you and your team and your experience in multifamily. Brought to you by the Multifamily Media Network, giving you the latest and greatest news and content across our multifamily sector. So let's jump in. Enjoy this episode of Multifamily Elevated and enjoy the climb. I had posted something yesterday on my LinkedIn page about process and thought I would just follow up with the next iteration of that. And this really has to do with going a little bit deeper, a little deeper layer, and maybe the most misunderstood and under-leveraged core disciplines in the business, which is process. And so it's not enough to just write it down and hope for the best. I know that sometimes we think that it's team collaboration, it's real ownership, it's an eye towards iteration. It'll get ignored, or worse, it'll create confusion if we don't have process, which is all very, very true. But here's what actually makes a process great. So it flows across teams. It really is and should be the conversation, right? And when you build or revise a process, you want to get input from each part of the team that it actually touches. And this is where, your senior leadership team really plays an important role. Aligning the value creation behind that, the reason why that, we need the process is critical. And if the senior leadership team can't create that vision or the why, people don't typically adopt it, right? So every step has an owner. This is probably one of the best things, if you get anything out of this conversation, is somebody's got to own it, and they have to own that step. Someone needs to own the overall process as well. And oftentimes the confusion or it not being followed is because it doesn't have a true owner, or two people own it. And what they say, if two people own something, nobody owns it. It's a living thing. Businesses grow. I think oftentimes we think that we can create process and just put it up on the shelf, dust it off once in a while, it'll be fine. But no, in essence, what happens is process is changing even more rapidly than it ever has. And so it's fluid. Letting people know that it's going to change helps them to adapt to that change. And again, you don't want that to get overcomplicated either, because changing policy or process or procedure can cause confusion in and of itself. But remember, teams evolve, tech shifts, and your processes need to keep up. They need to be clear, lean, and somebody has to be reviewing them, the owner, right, regularly. So given that, now don't overprescribe. Focus on the top 20% of tasks that drive 80% of the value. And if you can, just live by that mantra, the 80-20 rule, it really, really helps. People don't need to be micromanaged. They need clarity, and they need flexibility and the ability to deliver with excellence. And that's what process really does. It provides a lot of autonomy with your teams, which means you have to supervise and be in the weeds with them less, which is really critical for you as a leader to be strategically thinking on the business. So, documents are your secret sauce. They really are, and process is as well. And what makes your business different? You want to show it in your process, because sometimes we're all selling the same thing. What sets us apart, right? The efficiencies that we can create, the speed to which we can deliver, all of those things have value. And, consistency, guess what it does? It scales culture, it scales businesses. So bottom line, a well-designed process brings order without slowing you down. It is the speed up factor. And it builds trust. It makes sure that execution is occurring, which we all know is the big one. It's difficult to always get the execution working.
And it keeps your teams rowing in the same direction. And that's what we really want to have happen. So any other questions on process? I know people who know process and a lot of other people who love process, including myself. So just reach out if you got any questions, and we are happy to help.
Thanks for tuning in to Multifamily Elevated, where we hope that you are inspired and ready to go, elevated to take on your next challenge in multifamily. So if you liked this episode, please subscribe, like, comment, and of course, share with your network. And don't forget that this was brought to you by the Multifamily Media Network that is also sharing the latest and greatest in trends, ideas, and content across our multifamily space. Until next time, keep elevating, and we'll talk soon.